The Pixel 3a 1 month later. Let's get started. So it's been about a month with the sweet Pixel 3a. I gotta say, this phone has been super fun to use. It is very lightweight, the size of it is perfect in your hands, and the bezels are actually good. They just make the phone a lot more comfortable to use, but I'll get more into that later on in this review. Now, during the month of using this phone, I haven't really ever experienced any slowdown, any lag, or any stutters, micro stutters, anything out of the ordinary. Now, as you guys already know, this does have the Snapdragon 670 in it, kind of a weak processor, but honestly, if I did not know this was a Snapdragon 670, I would have never ever guessed it. I would have thought it's probably the Snapdragon 800 series. But honestly, you probably won't notice it in your day-to-day life. Now, yes, this phone does have 4 gigs of RAM, and yes, it is very much noticeable, especially if you like to have a lot of apps open in the background, if you like to jump between apps and you don't want to wait. If you're that type of person, this phone is not for you. But for the average person who doesn't really care if they have to wait a second or two for their apps to open back up, 4 gigs of RAM is still pretty good to this day, you know, especially if you're not really a hardcore user. Maybe if you play a few games here or there, you know, social media a lot, internet browsing a lot, music, YouTube, Netflix. Dude, this phone's perfect. Now let's talk a little bit more about the plastic back. Now this phone, yeah, it's plastic. It's a little two-tone finish. So the upper part is more glossy. The bottom part looks like sanded. It pretty much looks like the original Pixel 3. So take that for what you will. But the plastic back, I've been using this phone either without a case like this, or I've been using a bumper case which only covers the sides. So the back was always exposed to whatever was inside my pocket or on a table or something like that. And there is not a single scratch anywhere on the device. Nowhere. I never really understood why people care so much about having a plastic back, or most importantly, not having a plastic back. There are a lot of people that laugh at people that own phones with plastic backs, or maybe just laugh at the phones themselves. I think that's pretty stupid, because I think those types of people still put cases on their phones, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of them making fun of plastic backs. After all, if you're gonna put a case on your phone anyway, why does it matter what your phone is made out of? You're not gonna be able to even know or feel it. So plastic back or not, this phone is good. I mean, it helps with lightweight. So if you don't like to hold a heavy phone, you want your pockets to be nice and light, this phone has it covered. Plastic, yes. Does it scratch? Sure, it scratches a little, you know, easier than glass. But honestly, I mean, I'd rather have a little few scratches here or there than having a crack that I have to pay a few hundred to fix. I mean, that's just that simple. If you don't want to damage a phone, glass or plastic, wear a case. If you wear a case, you won't really care if it's glass or plastic. So there you go, there's that. Now, I did say the bezels on this phone are comfy, and I said this in my previous review, and I'm still sticking with that statement. They're just comfier to use. You know, a phone is comfier to use when there's bezels. Does it look good? I mean, do bezels look good? Probably not. It's not as futuristic as, let's say, the OnePlus 7 Pro. You get much less accidental touches, and you can actually, you know, put your finger like this on the sides over here, or maybe your thumb, and you can watch YouTube without interacting with the display. It's just, when you have a full display, like on the OnePlus 7 Pro, or even the Galaxy S10 Plus, you get a little nervous about where you put your finger. Like sometimes if you're laying in bed, you're watching Netflix or something, and you're holding your finger just the wrong way, the phone will come crashing down at you, and that's about 200 grams of force busting on your face. So that's gonna hurt quite a bit. So the more, you know, the more grip you can use on a phone, I think that's what makes the phone a little more secure in your hands, and just more comfortable to use. Again, don't get me wrong, I still much prefer a full screen design, but in terms of comfort, I mean, I'm just being honest here, bezels are way more comfortable to use than a phone without any bezels and curved display. I mean, that's just, I think that's a fact. I think anyone will agree with me on that. Now, the battery life on this phone is really good, and it's only gonna get better, especially when Android Q comes out, because it will actually include dark mode. Now, if you don't wanna wait for Android Q, there are skins out there that do include dark mode already, But if you're a fan of stock Android, you obviously don't want to use a skin. So if you want to wait for dark mode, you're gonna have to wait until Android Q, and that's gonna be coming out, I think, August. So not much more time to wait. Pretty much right now, I'm getting about 5 hours and 30, 5 hours and 45 minutes of on-screen time. Now for a phone of this size, that is super. And even with dark mode, I can easily assume this phone will last over 6 hours of on-screen time. Again, for a phone this size, it's a really small phone. I love it. So for a phone this size to last over 6 hours of on-screen time, that's a win in my book. Now this phone does come with 18 watts of fast charging, which is definitely much more noticeable than Apple's 5-watt charging system. And it's even slightly more noticeable than Samsung Galaxy S10's line of 15-watt charging. Now I know the S10 5G has 25 watts. I understand that. The Note 10 is gonna have like 45 watts, I think. So I know, but right now to this day, 15 watt on Samsung is the standard. So Google's 18 watts is definitely obviously noticeable if you compare it to the 15 watt. But if you compare it to the OnePlus 7 Pro with its 30 watt, it is, it's just not, it's crazy. You can't even compare them. The OnePlus 7 Pro just charges right before your eyes. You can literally look at it and you'll see the numbers go up. It's crazy. Either way, 18 watt, 30 watt, 45 watt is much better than what anything that Apple has going on, at least for now. I think the newer iPhone is also gonna have 18 watt charging, but that's not out yet, so I can still laugh a little bit longer about that. It charges super quick. I mean, the battery capacity is kind of small. So even if it's only at 18 watts, it still charges pretty quick because, the battery capacity is small. So boom. So I've been using this phone along with the S10 Plus and the OnePlus 7 Pro. Now my SIM card was actually in the OnePlus 7 Pro because I was doing the review of it and I wanted to see how it works. But still pretty much daily, I was still using this phone like in my pocket or whatever and the Galaxy S10 Plus. Now, I thought having those two other phones would kind of kill this phone in terms of stereo sound, but surprisingly, this little phone gives a nice kick once it comes to audio quality, especially coming from those two speakers, stereo. That's what stereo means, Mark. If you're watching movies, playing games, I don't know, talking to your girlfriend, listen, this phone, the speakers are very nice, very loud, very clear. You won't really ever have to, put the phone next to your ear to hear what is going on. The phone's nice and loud, man. It gets loud. The stereo works great. I can't really complain. I don't really notice much of a difference if you compare it to the S10 Plus and the OnePlus 7 Pro. Obviously, the bigger phones are going to be louder, but in terms of quality, they're pretty much the same. Now, while we're still on the subject, let's talk about audio quality, like as in phone call. It's a phone, so how does it sound? Well, I don't know what it is, but this phone sounds the best. It almost sounds on par with the iPhone when it comes to call quality. The other person can hear me super crispy. I can hear them super crispy. And most importantly, on speakerphone. By the way, this is how I use speakerphone. So about this far away, I hold the phone like this and I'm talking like directly at the screen. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm just holding the phone, talking straight at it. People when I was using the S10 Plus, people couldn't hear me at all. I don't know what it is. Even no case, a case, doesn't matter. People just complained that I sounded like I was like either underwater or in a very big open room, even though I was still holding the phone like this. The OnePlus 7 Pro was a little bit better. People didn't really complain as much, but with this phone, it sounds like an iPhone. Like I'm holding it like this, talking. People can hear me super crispy as if I'm on the phone like this. So take that for what you will, but I think Google has really got it down in terms of call quality, speaker quality, and just overall speakers. So let's talk about the camera quality. We all know, come on. We all know this. I don't even have to say anything. The Pixel 3a takes fantastic images. If you've been following me on Twitter, Instagram, you will have already seen a bunch of comparisons with the OnePlus 7 Pro, with the S10 Plus. By the way, if you're not following me on Instagram or Twitter, why are you even not following me? All right, I'm gonna pretend that actually made sense, but follow me. Anyway, The photos come out looking fantastic. It's crazy how a single lens can still compete with phones that have 2 or 3 or even 4 lenses. That's just mind-blowing. See, here's the thing with Google. Other companies, they know they cannot reach anywhere near Google in terms of algorithm, in terms of computational photography. They just don't know how to do that yet. They don't have that power, I guess. I mean, listen, I don't know. I don't work for Google, so I wouldn't know what they're doing in their magic lab. All I know is that many companies, to compete with phones that have great computational power, they just add more lenses, because obviously you gotta compete somehow. I mean, if you can't compete with algorithm, you gotta compete with hardware, right? So Huawei, I think, has the 10x zoom, which can go up to 50 digital, which is just insanely good. But what I'm trying to say is that there's a little bit of there's a game going on, obviously. So Google at the moment has the best software implementation of a camera. That's why it looks so fantastic. Other companies, they don't. So they got to compete somehow. They add more lenses, and well, that works for some. Obviously, the wide angle lens is a huge selling point in 2019, which is also why the Pixel 4 is gonna, is gonna have a wide angle lens. It's gonna have it. I can't wait. The photos already taken with the 3A look nice. They look true to life. They're nice and contrasty, ready for Instagram or wherever you kids want to post your food pictures to. It looks good, man. The photos, like, if I had to pick one phone, like, put it this way, if I'm going on vacation to somewhere I've never been before, if I'm going to vacation, the Pixel 3a, hands down, is the phone that I will pick up and put in my pocket to use on that vacation, to take photos, even video. Listen, the video is not 4K 60, okay? And honestly, it doesn't matter. Phones that can do 4K 60 usually don't even have EIS enabled or OIS enabled, because the phone's not powerful enough to do 4K 60 and EIS and OIS, okay? So they're most likely, the higher the resolution, the more frames per second, the more jittery it's gonna be. So it doesn't look good regardless. That's why most phones, the stabilization looks fantastic at 1080p. So I rather much have, smooth, video than very high quality, but it looks like it's like dancing. It's very weird. But this phone 4K 30 frames per second, it looks good, man. It's nice and stable. It looks good. It might not compete with iPhone XS Max, obviously, because I think iPhone to this day takes the best video. That's just how it is. But in terms of, in general, this phone is gonna get you through the day, on your vacation, whatever it may be. Video looks good, photo looks good. It's good, man. It's good. Now you're going on this vacation, you obviously are gonna take a few photos at night. Who isn't? Night sight looks fantastic. Even to this day, in North America, this phone right here takes the best night pictures in history of cell phones. Now, if we're talking about overseas, I know the Huawei Mate, what is it, P30 Pro? Yeah, the P30 Pro takes better night shots, but owning a P30 Pro right now or owning any Huawei at the moment is it's very kind of dangerous. Like, you don't know what the future is gonna hold at the moment. So in North America, I'm just gonna make it easy. This phone definitely takes the best night sight footage ever. Now moving back to the processor a little bit, again, Snapdragon 670, 4 gigs of RAM. If you play games on your phone a lot, this phone is gonna do its job, man. In fact, this phone's limitation isn't even the gigabytes or the processor. It's the screen size. Playing games on a screen at this size, at least for me, I love big screens, man. You know me. So playing games on a screen this big, or this small, I should say, is not very comfortable. Like, your thumbs block a good 20% of the screen. So if you want to play games on the Pixel, I would highly suggest getting the Pixel 3a XL. You don't get that ugly notch from the 3XL, and you get a bigger screen than the 3A. So it might be a little bit better for... Well, this is a little bit embarrassing, but my microphone died as I was shooting this video. Thank God there was only like a minute left. But anyway, what I was going to say was is that if you want, you know, good gaming, get the 3A XL simply because it has a bigger screen, bigger battery. Obviously, you know, bigger phones are more appealing to gamers. And then I guess what I wanted to say before the microphone cut out was there is no way I would not recommend the Pixel 3a. It's honestly a fantastic phone. You get access to stock Androids and you get updates super quick. You know, unlike over, you know, a year or so of waiting with other Android devices. If you want a cheap phone that does a little bit of everything, the Pixel 3a is going to be your best bet. Now, I know in other parts of the world, the Pixel 3a is more expensive, so obviously do not buy it. But from the USA standpoint, the phone is very well priced and I do really recommend it. You guys got to remember, the Pixel series of phones was always meant to be to get iPhone into Android, because there's no point of Android competing with Android because, you know, Android is Android. So Google wanted to kind of steal away iPhone users, and I think this phone is honestly a good starting point, honestly. So again, if they're marketing it towards North America, and in North America the price is very respectable. So guys, that is pretty much it. Sorry the microphone died. I guess I charged it last night, or I didn't plug it in, you know, all the way or something. I have no idea what happened, but obviously the next video will be not like this. That's pretty much it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, give me a subscribe, tell all your friends about me, tell your grandma, tell her to play my videos on repeat and go to sleep so I can get those views. Take care. Adios. I love you.